welcome to FMTraining.tv, where every day we're doing really neat things with the FileMaker platform. As a reminder, this broadcast is brought to you by FMTraining.tv, where every day we do great FileMaker training. Visit FMTraining.tv, click the bundles button, and purchase one of the bundles if you haven't done that. So let's talk about hiding or showing layout objects based on a specific calculation. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. I don't know that we've done POV thus far. The Claris FileMaker platform provides the ability to dynamically show blah, 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 blah. Any object can be hidden with a hide object when calculation. There's no support for visibility states for layout parts. So that's a good one. So if you're in FileMaker, we come over here. Oh, this is our Fire Marshal Bill demo right here. There's our layout. So any object that's on the layout can essentially be set to be visible or invisible. If you've been watching this show for any period of time, this comes up all the time. We talk about this. And so the idea is that if you have a layout and you have these layout parts over here, like you have maybe a list view or something like that, something else like here's a layout part, another layout part, you cannot programmatically set layout parts to be hidden or non-hidden, okay? So you got that. The hidden condition of the object is evaluating when the record layout is brought into view. If you change, so let's talk about this real quick. So real short over here, Claris called this hide objects when, more of a sentence. Internally within the engineering team, this is called POV or programmatic, so programming, object visibility, POV. Apparently POV, as we found out back with Nick Hunter down there in 2015 or so, or goes back to 2014, that POV was a problem because it was a trademark term and we couldn't use it. So the engineers were slapped down, told them they couldn't call it that. So if you're in layout mode, on the right pane on the data panel, so each of these panels over here has a name. The names used to be visible. Over here on the left, they're still visible. Fields, objects, layout, so that's the left pane. Right pane, three panels on the left pane, 4 panels on the right pane. Each of the names, if you hover over it, will show you briefly there. It's the very right one, the one that you hang out probably the most, especially if you're a new developer, called data. You click on that, you can have an object. And normally when you click on things in here, items in here, then it's going to show you the settings for that particular object. So down here, hide object when, okay? The root of this is that it's going to be, if you say, if it's true or 1, it's going to hide it. So if I say 1, true or 1, I hate just saying 1 like that because it's misleading. It's better, I always prefer to have some sort of formula that says, if you had something like get the current date or the current user, right? Like say the current username. If the current username says equals Larry the Marine, okay? Larry the Marine, say it said that. And if that was true, then it would hide that item. If you always want to hide it, you can put a 1 in here, but if you're a brand new beginner, that's a little bit misleading because you're trying to evaluate a formula. So if I say 1 equals 1, you're like, that's stupid, that's always true. That's the point, right? Very simple. So all I do is tell you evaluate a basic formula. Does 1 equal 2? No. Does 1 equal 1? Yes. Okay, see how that works? So 1 equals 1 will basically, and you see the little eyeball over here, that means that it has programmatic object visibility. It may or may not be visible to the human eye. Dogs who don't have human eyes can always see it, just so you know. So that's how it works, human eye, all right? So, so you come over here, you go to browse mode, and because 1 always equals 1, it's not there. So here's the deal. It's not being displayed, but it's still on the layout. Oh, did we put debug script data viewer and script debugger on the schedule somewhere? Yeah. Okay, those are coming up. Yeah, because people, I was like, we had to have covered those, and apparently we haven't. So we're going to pretend like you know what a script debugger is or a data viewer. The data viewer shows the current data in your current layout and or current solution, etc. So if I come over here and I say watch, I say data. Oh, there's no records in here. Well, it'd be helpful if I add a new record. Let me add a new record. Okay, here we go. And then I say, you just show me variables, and the current script. There's no current script. We have watch. All right, so data there, data there, data there. And the data viewer shows you, well, watch will show you current things that are in play. All right, so if I say, show me just all these fields, or actually I say just show me that field. I say monitor. All right, so there's the value right there. So we have that. So you can see what that is. Now you're saying like, well, the name is not here. Okay, well, I set it for always on. Let me go over here. I'll say new window, secret locations. We have property over here. There's last name is James right there. So we know it's James. Okay, is James right here? Oh, that's a different table. So let me do this. Let me go to layout. You like this. This is kind of it's an interesting scenario that we have here. I'm going to go to layout mode. I'm going to duplicate the layout. So this is layout setup. We're in a duplicate layout. It's called layout copy without hidden stuff, okay? And I'm gonna say it like that. I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna click on that, and I'm going to tell it that get rid of it. So by default, all the objects are displayed. It hides, it's not show objects when. This can cause a lot of confusion, but just understand you have to read the word out loud, hide objects when. Okay, because remember, this was added to the FileMaker platform after the platform had been out for 20, 25, 26, 27, 8 years. Whenever Claris adds a feature, one of their problems is like, you say like Ruben says, that's stupid. And Ruben's right, except that the product has grown organically, and so they're adding a feature without retroactively breaking the entire planet. What I've got over here is I've got this other layout with the last name, browse mode. I'm going to call it Beaver Delight. Okay, it's a new call sign for my helicopter Beaver Delight 5. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm going to come over here. So I'm going to come back over here. Now I'm going to say secret locations. Now I don't see Beaver Delight 5 because it's hidden. Okay, but is the data really, really, really hidden? And I had this situation, unfortunately. I was filleted by Josh Ormond and Wim DeCourt way back in the day over a security issue like this, because another developer tried to build two-factor authentication because Claris has yet to build a good two-factor authentication yet. And so they decided to roll their own with scripts. The problem is scripts could be hacked and overridden. And this kind of hiding stuff is not really a security thing. The hide objects on a screen is a workflow management tool. It's not a security tool. Like you wouldn't put the nuclear launch codes in here, really. You could put them in here if you actually went into the scripts, the security area, and made that object hidden and not accessible. But we're only hiding it at a kind of a very loose surface level. And so I come over here and I say, hey, let's monitor something else. Let's monitor the last name. Well, there's Beaver Delight 5 right there, and I hit monitor. So it's hidden over here, but I can still see it over here because I'm an admin. So if you could get someone to get into admin, they can get in and see the Beaver Delight 5, okay? So even though you hide it, and of course that makes sense anyway, because the admin could go in and make this they can see it a dozen different ways. But the point is that you can easily run yourself into a corner where you think it's secure, but someone does some little stunt like this and shows it to you, okay? Makes sense? So if you wanted to secure a field, you're going to go over here to layout mode. You're going to actually, ideally, you go right click and say security, right click security, but no, you have to go file, manage security. Then you could say, well, go to advanced settings, and then you come over here to like a new privilege set, call it, all the miscellaneous staff. And then you can come over here to layouts, not layouts, but records. Well, you could do layouts, or is it it's a whole layout though, right? So you want to see records or layout objects. It's actually, where do you have the fields at? Is that buried under layouts? Layouts, secret locations, view only, modifiable. That applies to the whole layout, right? So you'd have to go to records, and then you could go to here and say records view, no edit, delete, field access limited. Yeah, there you go. So you have to go to records and then into fields. And so it's kind of a hack, but once you play with a little bit, as opposed to like custom menus, which are this hideous thing that only Nick could love, right? This here will make sense if you play with it, but you would go in here and you would say, this is no access. It's no access to this group at all. Or it's accessible under certain conditions, right? Like if Fred equals 5 or if the staff equals 5 or something like that. You can do that. So that is how that works. So Layout is whole layout access. Record is record access and or all the way down to field access. Okay. Questions, Margaret?
Question about hidden fields. Can you still interact with hidden fields via scripts and calculations and input information into them?
Absolutely. Scripts can still talk to it, right? Now, well, back up. Let's talk about this. That's a good question. I don't think it affects scripts at all, but it brings up a good, important. There's one of those questions that they don't realize they brought up another question, but it's an important question. So first off, let's go to script workspace. All right, so create a script. We'll call it a set field. Okay. And then we're going to come down here. We're going to say set field. And the field we want to be on is we're going to go to a target field. We're going to go to secret locations. And we're going to say last name set. And we're going to say quote, blah, 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 1. Okay. There we go. Okay. And so we say that's great. Now we're going to do another script that says insert. Okay. Text. So now there, remember set field allows you, set field will definitely allow you to check it out and see what's in there. Okay. If you come down here and you say insert text, right? We say enter text into the target field. Question is, does that work? I don't do an insert text enough to know whether it will, but if any of them is going to be blocked, it'll be this one. Okay. Save it. These are enabled, so I'm going to close it. I'm going to close this over here. And so if I first, let's go over to the other layout let's go to this layout without hidden stuff, new record. I'm going to run this script, set field. Okay, that's great. New record and insert text. Now insert text, the big difference between these two is that set field can set a field even if it's not on the layout. Insert, any of the inserts, the object that you're trying to insert into or interact with has to be visible on the current layout at the time the command is called. Super important. So back in the old days, we essentially could insert stuff, but the set field was kind of an ultimate override so that the field or object didn't have to be on the layout. Margaret, did you know that one? Okay, so good. What's your follow-up question?
So does that mean, what does it mean by like not on the layout? Do you mean like hovering off and like the
No, okay, let's play with
space?
This. Let's play with that. What I meant off the layout, I mean set field can touch it even if it's not even on the area to the right. Because really there's 3 areas. Let's talk about the afterlife here. Shall we discuss the afterlife? Okay, so this is you're alive, this is purgatory, and then if it's not here at all, you're really dead. It's not on the layout, okay? And so if you put a field into purgatory, is it still accessible is the question. First off, let's do the hidden test. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to create a new record right here. Now, I'm not on this layout where it's visible. I'm on this layout here where it's alive on the layout. And so what will work? Okay. So first, let's do the set field command. Well, you don't know it worked. It probably works. So we come over here to 4, go to 4. Yeah, it worked. Okay, now let's create a new record on 5, and I'm going to say insert text. Come over here. There's a 5. So the set field bypasses everything. The insert has to be visible on the layout. You're like, well, what if it's, so let's take another step. So now we're on this other one over here, layout mode. So what if we move it over here? So it's not alive, you're kind of in purgatory. So you're on the side, which has interesting implications because in the world of FileMaker, if things are actually on the layout, it's the most performance to process them. If things are not at all on the layout, like a summary field or something, that's the better performance, right? If it's in kind of this purgatory area on the side, sometimes FileMaker will talk to it, sometimes it won't. That's what we're testing right now. The set field command works regardless. You could be in hell and the set field command will still work. But the insert text won't work unless you're alive on the layout. So what if it's in purgatory on the side? Right, that's the test, right? So here it is right here. I moved it off the side. It's not set to be invisible because we know invisible is an automatic kiss of death, right? Browse mode. Okay, I'm going to say, I'm going to create a new record, so there's no question about this. I'm going to run the insert. Now, what happens? It's not there, but is it really there? Can I bring it back over here? So if it's visible, even off the side of the page, the insert commands work. So this goes back to like FileMaker 5-6 days. Back in the old days, we could only do it one way. It was insert. And the set field was a great improvement because it allowed you to not be limited to what's you're limited to the table occurrence group, the tog that the layout is attached to. It's context, but it doesn't. It's context sensitive, but not to the point where it has to be on the current layout. As long as you're on the table on a layout that belongs to a tog that belongs to the table, you can get to it directly. Yeah, it just is not. It's not limited to actually being on screen, which is great because a lot of times as programmers we got flag field this. Back in the old days we'd have all these flag fields, and so this is how we solve everyone. How did we solve stuff in the old days? You had to have the field on the layout, and this little purgatory area of it didn't exist. This was added in FileMaker. Was that 7 or was it 11 where they added this, or 12 where they added this side thing? Okay, I think it goes way back. The point is that you had all these flag fields, Margaret, you had flag fields. You didn't have a set field command, so the field had to be on the layout. So we'd have all these, like, imagine, look on screen here. Imagine this is a flag, and this is a flag, and this is a flag, and you're like, well, so what you do is you take all these like this. Here we go. And then you make them down here to like really small, okay? No, it gets worse. And then we go like, hey, it's going to be size 1. And the problem is that then you'd have a script that would go in there and start inserting stuff, and you'd have this little pixel thing look like a worm growing out of that spot and start going across the screen. That's the old way of solving problems. That's the creative awesomeness of the FileMaker platform. We have been solving, us as a group, all of you there have been solving problems like this for years using crazy like this, okay? It's called stupid FileMaker tricks, right? Stupid FileMaker tricks. We don't have to do that one anymore, but you'll still see old solutions where the little size 1 font is up there at the top, right? And you're like, why is that there? And then, if I tab, can I get over here? If suddenly you'll see it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. There's a tiny pixel down there, and there it goes down the screen. Like, why is there a horrible malfunction happening?
I mean, it looks like my screen has suddenly died. Like the pixel of that screen has died.
The pixels have died now. It's just drawing this vertical thing. Yes. Of course, then people like Nick said, that's interesting. So Nick turns that into a bar chart because it makes a little line. So if he does some other things with it, he could turn it into a bar chart, which is back to this charting live stream that we have to do. So the road to hell is paved with stupid FileMaker tricks, and all of you have been there with me.
Well, we have a question from Centauri. Do I have to test each purgatory script?
Here's the deal. If you're using set field commands, you know that they dip all the way through. So that's not a problem. If you're doing insert commands, you know that they have to be visible. I'm trying to answer Centauri's question, right? So you know what they will do and won't do by default, because your Professor Carlton has taught you just now how that works. And then I would also say that Professor Carlton says you should test your. So that is kind of this hidden thing. Let me just tell you one more thing about hidden. Some of you, okay, let me show you an example of modern self-created purgatory. Self-created purgatory. When you're building a solution and you inadvertently auto-create purgatory for yourself. I'm going to show you this solution right here. I'm going to go to FileMaker. This is and we've used this before discussing this. It's a digital document management system. It contains aviation training for helicopter pilots. It's got 907 records and about 50 gigabytes of attached container data, okay? If I click this right here, okay, those are 4 nearly identical portals pulling data from the same table. So all these are records that come out of the same table. However, these records are not the same as these records, not the same as these, not the same as these. And so you get into this issue of we're using the filter command in a portal, but the filter command in a portal works the same way, right? It's this idea of show me if the condition is a 1, okay? It's the same idea as the hide object. And once you get into this deal is where you say, hide an object. It's real simple if it's like you have one condition. But as soon as you start putting into that condition and this, hide it if it's this and this, or this and this other thing, it gets stupidly complicated because most of us think in the positive. We always, whenever you see writing, Sarah didn't like to do it because she didn't want to do what wasn't required not on Tuesday. And you're like, what the hell did I just say? It's too many negatives strung into a single sentence. You have a double negative. You ever hear that? You have a double negative in a sentence. If you put two negatives together, if you have two negatives, your little brain will explode because this condition over here, if I click out of here and I go to layout mode, the condition right here is not show this to me. Show it to me if this is and this other thing isn't. You have to write the inverse of that, which can get really convoluted. Okay, so I'm warning you, if you can't get it to work the right way, it's not a bug in FileMaker, and it's not really your fault. It's just the unfortunate way that Claris engineers had to implement this to not break everyone's stuff, right? If you think about it, right? It's not like show it to me if it's Margaret and it's Monday. What you have to do is show it to me if it's not Margaret and it's any other day of the week except Monday. And trying to write that in a formula can get kind of wonky. Okay, so I'm not going to walk through all the permutations because even when I sit there and do this, I prefer no one to watch me struggle and suffer for about 10, 15 minutes to figure it out. And then I figure it out and then I move on. But it can drive you bonkers, and the hidden object will drive you bonkers because you end up with double or triple or quadruple negative conditions together, and your brain doesn't think that way.
Have a follow-up from Centauri. I think that they're asking, or they said apart from set field and insert, I think they're asking what scripts can interact with the purgatory space that floats.
Well,
like, do all the scripts interact with it as long as it's there?
Well, setting it is there. You could say, I guess that's a good question. So let me close this and go back to that. Yeah, it's a bigger question, and the biggest one is if. The biggest one is if that thing is something, right? So let's do this. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go back to the copy with hidden stuff. I'm going to go back over here. What did I delete? I deleted the files. All right, hang on. Let me put these back over here. Copy, paste. Then I'm going to put them back over here, but I'm going to make them visible. So, or no hidden condition. Okay. So browse mode. So over here, it's visible. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's on record 6. If I go back, I go to the other layout, we don't see it. Let's write a script real quick. New script. If and dialog. So this is like two semi-easy ones here. If and dialog. Here we go. So I click on here, return. I'm going to say if that field, so I'm going to put the function here. I'm going to go secret locations, owner, name, last. If it equals, whoa. I think the monkey bread just got in there in jumbo size. That's, by the way, that's a feature of Monkey Spread software. By the way, Christian Schmidt has filed a formal complaint with me that it's not called Monkey Spread. It's not created from ground up monkeys. It's monkey bread. All right. So if it's that, we will say beep. Okay. Oh, I don't know. They can hear the beep. They should be able to hear the beep, right? All right. So let's try it over here. So we want to make sure everyone can hear this. I'm going to go to the area where it's visible. Okay. Browse mode. Okay. I'm going to run the script. Okay. It must not be visible. It is. If and dialog. Save. Come over here. Script. If and dialog. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I heard a beep. Did anyone else hear a beep? Yes or no? Beep. Yes. You can't hear the beep? Show custom dialog. Okay. How about that? We good? Okay. Save. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Script. Okay. Yes. We saw the beep. Okay. Now, if I go to this layout, but it's on if I go back to script, it was tied to secret locations. It's interesting because it's going to, that's the table occurrence. Okay, so we're okay. It's not I just I just want to be clear. So this script step is targeting the table occurrence. The layout, both layouts here and this other one, both these are targeting the same table occurrence group, which is secret locations, wherever it went up here. Secret locations, that one. See that? Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So over here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So if I run it, I'm going to run it over here. 1, 2, 3, one more time. Oh, save all. Okay. Beeped. Now I come over here. Will it work? So the if can see through your hidden condition, which means that pretty much, I think most of the scripts will, but you're going to want to, if you have a sudden problem, you're going to want to make sure everything's visible before you super commit to it. If I go to script workspace, I could say, because if you come over here, you could say, show me some data out of that, right? Secret location, business name last. So that's kind of give me the data. So the insert limits it, or not the insert, but the insert limits it, but the set field bypasses. All these are acting like they're set field equivalents, right? That kind of digging deeper capability. It's an interesting question. In 33 years, I've never thought this all the way through, because the running assumption that I had, is that hidden objects is a workflow management thing to help guide people visually through the process. Like if they put something incorrect in there, like this data is incorrect, and you put a little red X that shows up next to it. That's a workflow management thing, right? Or showing how many unread messages are up there, things like that. That's what the hidden object's really good at, is workflow management. And here we got that. We have the owner name last. So I come over to a new record here, new record with nothing in it. I'm going to run that. I'm going to hit play, and nothing even happens there. So then I put 1, 2, 3, 4 in. We run it. Of course, it's going to work. Scripts. Okay. Now I come over here. Yeah. So the scripts basically can bypass the hidden, with the exception of the insert script steps. When you're inserting data in there, the inserts require it to be visible either on the active layout or visible on the side of the layout, the purgatory area right there. All right, other questions we have? To be continued. Yeah, exactly, Foxy Jack, to be continued. All right, Monday is a to be continued day. We're going to come back and we're going to pick this up a little bit, and then we'll move forward on Monday's conversation. Everyone, I appreciate it. All right, thanks. Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir.